Right, so hello viewers and welcome back to Europa Universalis 4 with me, Chu. Inside the last episode, it looks like what has happened was that a war between Sweden and Denmark has broken out, probably over that personal union that they had. And, well, in the meantime, it looks like we had nabbed Mecklenburg and I think Bremen over here as vassals, so that's good there. However, in the meantime, that has actually, well, A, removed us of two rivals, and secondly, it has bumped up our diplomatic relations to 6 out of 4, meaning that we'll gradually, say, lose some of our ability to increase our diplomatic power due to that. And with that said, I'm going to start off here by cancelling our alliance with Riga, because usually they get conquered right away by their neighbors, so they're saying not too much of a use, but historically Riga was one of the ports in the Hanseatic League's sort of list of big places to go to regularly. So yeah, that's sort of that. It was Riga over here. It was one of the big Eastern European ports that they visit. They would also visit Danzig, which is another big one, and the one that would be over here, Novograd. And I think there was obviously like Stockholm as well, and I think there was also one other port inside this area as well. So anyhow, going from there, I'm going to just sort of assign 2 more rivals like such. And well, one thing that I found out was that it looks like they've actually increased the amount of money, or rather points, that you need to increase these idea techs. Because from what I remember, you used to only require right around 400 some points to actually level up your different technologies. And the general way that this works is that administrative technologies upgrade ideas for you to unlock, and these are effectively perks, and they'll unlock different forms of government amongst other things, and it looks like they'll also increase administrative and production efficiency, although usually it's mainly I usually just do it for the idea groups and the ability to get some really effective ideas. Diplomatic tech usually actually deals with ships and merchants and trade and stuff like that, so it's very helpful, but at the same time, if you level it up, it will make your naval maintenance bigger over time. It's not really that big of a deal, seeing as how it's very gradual, and military technology obviously does what it says there. So going back to our lands here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to wait for a short amount of time, and you may have noticed that some of the events here have already played out, because from what I remember last time, some of the nations have already cancelled their alliances with us when we took these 2 provinces. But, well, usually what I do is that I just sort of instinctively, like, go out of the game to check on my save file, or rather my recorded files, and then sort of instinctively close the game. And, well, I had to load up a save file here. I effectively just reconquered these 2 areas, because all I really had to do was just finish the sieges and, of course, do the diplomacy behind it. And that's essentially where we are today. So, I mean, going forward from here, it'll take right around 10 years to convert Mecklenburg here to a full, say, province of ours. But the good thing about this is that A, it generates less aggression for our neighbors, of course, and the second thing is that, assuming that you annex these provinces, you'll have to put a core on them, and that takes a lot of administrative power as well. And overall, I mean, it's a slow process, and like in general, just sort of making these countries your vassals is a better way to just sort of take them over, although for these one province sort of nations, you could argue that it's better to just sort of annex them right away. Now, moving forwards, one of the decisions, or rather 2 of the things happened here for our country, or our league, our merchant guild, is first and foremost, you'll get an election here, and you also get this national decisions thing to fire off here. So, starting off with election, yes, we'll effectively get one of these elections every 4 years, and it'll give you 4 different options here, I believe, every single time. You can either choose a candidate, well, technically, it's an election for the people, but technically in game terms, you control the outcome of the election, and you can choose either between a really good administrative, diplomatic, or military leader, which of course has the appropriate stats in terms of the powers gain, or alternatively, you can keep your current, say, representative or president, I suppose, in charge, and he'll actually gain stats as time goes on, and overall you'll gain more things as that goes on. But the thing is that you lose Republican tradition, which A, gains really slowly back up, and B, money is very critical for the stability and the national revolt risk. So if that drops too low, you'll have some rebellions on your hands, and it'll be very difficult to just sort of get out of that. At the same time, currently we have the maximum 100%, and none of these candidates look good, so I'm actually going to keep Irvin Merrick in power, and that'll actually give him +1 to everything else, making him like just an absolute beast at researching diplomatic technologies. And 7 and 8 for the other things aren't like, they're not bad, they're actually pretty great. So that's the first order of business here. And the second one is we can fire off this Elder von Lübeck sort of order. And historically, this was just effectively a really big ship that the Hanseatic League had built. But in game terms, you effectively pay like close to double price for a single early carrack, but it'll give you a nice modifier for your country, increasing or rather decreasing the amount of costs for ships and their building time, increasing the morale of your navies, and making diplomatic tech cheaper, which is one of the big things that we need here. So yeah, that is sort of that, and this will just sort of allow us to really game the diplomatic tech tree for about 30 years, assuming that we have some really good leaders in the years to come. And in the meantime, I'm actually going to send this one trade ship to this area over here. And ooh, we get some free cash, which I'll just take. I'm actually going to use this one carrack to come over here into this area to just sort of spy upon the Swedes and the Denmark people over here, because I want to see what they do in their fight for just sort of the succession over here. So that'll be that. It looks like we gained a casus belli against Pomerania, which is the green people over here. Is that right? Let me see. We have the royal. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. We have a restoration, or I'm looking at Denmark. There we go. Yeah, we already have Mecklenburg, so that's already under our control. It looks like we have a trade dispute with Genoa, so we can pursue that, and one with Venice, so, you know, trade powers going over with each other, so I mean, that's nothing new. But I swear, something popped up here with Pomerania. Evidently not. Alright, well, fair enough. Because I had thought that something came up over there, but, I mean, oh well. Nothing came up, so at least that's good. And I think for now, we'll just sort of enter an easy piece where we want to, say, do some research and some stuff, so I think we'll send somebody over here to Brandenburg just to use our 2 diplomats. Oh, and there we go. Now they decide to sort of fire off a trade dispute. So yeah, that is sort of that. In the meantime, let's check here. So we're gaining a decent amount of cash. I am actually going to purchase I'm going to purchase some more infantry and some more cavalry for our troops here. Early inside the game, cavalry really dominates the fighting, mainly due to the fact that if you notice here, the stats for the cavalry are pretty much identical, except for they have that one blip in shock, which makes them slightly more powerful. So I'm just going to stack up, say, 3 units of our military, build them really fast like that, and just assemble them as is. And in the future, we'll build a few more trade ships as well, so we can gain an even further sort of grasp on our trade sort of monopoly in Lübeck over here. So there we go. We'll get these forces assembled. It looks like we don't have a way to move around here to Lübeck proper, so we'll have to get our army to build here. And I think we'll build, say, 1 more unit of Ladinites if the game will let me here. No? I suppose the cost is too much. Right, so that'll be that. And currently, my priorities are to just really get some more diplomatic power and all that. It looks like we're doing pretty well on power projection, actually. Bump that up to 24, almost the amount that we need to gain another leader. So that's that. Tech up our diplomatic tech here, and that'll give us the option to build docks and marketplaces, and it'll increase our trade range, which will be nice. Now, inside our current towns, actually, most of the early developmental things should have already been built, mainly just due to the fact that you sort of start off with them as the Hanseatic League. And I'll tell you more about that later on. It looks like we can upgrade our military tech as well, so we'll do that right away. So, as you unlock these buildings, the main things inside the trade category will be these like marketplaces and docks and just sort of variants of them as they go on. And what these buildings do is that they give local trade power, and namely the dock gives you local ship repair bonuses as well. But how the trade power thing works is that you have global trade power, which is effectively what you can do pretty much anywhere on the map. It's a global modifier, is essentially what it is. But local trade power is effectively the value that really adds up to that 122 you see here. And this is a mixture of pretty much all of our building improvements, our modifiers like that global trade power, amongst other things, namely such as the amount of boats that we have actually trading on this route, and things like that really here. So with that said, if you want to, say, take control of a trade node, one thing is that you really want to grab a lot of provinces inside, say, this red zone over here, which represents the trade hub Lübeck, and you really just want to build these improvements and, of course, get more boats moving things there. And, of course, moving from there, you can do other things amongst, covert operations, issuing embargoes and all that to just sort of push and weave different trade things here and there. So yeah, that is pretty much that. It looks like we're going to hire another free military leader, so I think I'll hire an admiral this time. Looks like he doesn't really have really good skills, but you know what? We can use his one blip in maneuver here to give us a slight advantage in trade over here. So we'll put him up like that. We'll get him to protect trade in Lübeck, and that fleet will be back out and doing this thing. Let's actually see how much income we're gaining. So we're currently generating 6.51 in trade, although that's going to increase because I did take our trade fleet slightly off of, say, patrolling there. So hopefully that'll go up to, I would say, somewhere right around the 7 mark. Now it looks like it's stabilizing. Well, anyhow, we're still getting, say, a decent amount of money there. Right, so continuing off of that, let's see. Corruption, unfortunately, that is one of the issues in our tiny country here, and unfortunately we will have to gain some inflation, which actually, well, you can manage inflation when it's around like the single digit marks, so this won't say be that big of an issue, and we can actually use some administrative power to sort of cancel that out. In general, it's like inside that event, because it does pop up, say, a decent amount. In general, I usually take the inflation penalty over the stability cost, because as you saw there, it costs 75 points to reduce inflation by, say, 2, and where is it? There we go. For stability, you need 103, so it's, in my opinion, it's slightly better. And of course, that'll actually lower down to something else, because currently we have a high amount of Republican, or rather a low amount of Republican tradition, relative to 100, of course, which increases that stability cost modifier. And as you see here, I've bought tech, rather administrative tech level 4, so that'll unlock a new tech for us here. And namely, veterans of the series will know that you have the economic ideas with the national bank idea over here, which will actually reduce inflation passively over time. So, I mean, currently we have a really good diplomatic sort of leader, and if you try to produce, or rather, if you try to, like, say, game the tech tree, it'll actually cost you a whole bunch of power more than you would regularly need to buy it, say, on time. And with that said, with our just sort of, like, excessive increase in diplomatic power, what I'm going to do here is that I think I'll grab the trade ideas, which will allow us to, again, boost up our trade powers even more. So we'll take that right away. And how this works is that typically it'll cost right around, 400 or so points for unlocking one of these little perks of sorts, and once you unlock the whole tree, you'll get a overarching perk, and in addition, as you just sort of unlock, or rather colorize these little icons, you actually unlock your own nation's unique tree of ideas as well. So that'll be that, and that'll just, of course, gradually happen. Ooh, and perfect. Our power projection has gone up to 29. Right, so how is this war going up over here? It looks like they're fighting on this town. Denmark is attacking with right around 7,000 men. So that is a pretty small battle, actually. It's not that massive. Right, so we're gaining some cash now. And actually, I want to float a cash reserve, mainly due to the fact that, oh no, look at that. We already have 2 marketplaces built. But anyhow, I want to float a cash reserve because as the Hanseatic League over here, chances are is that for the early bit of time, we won't have a big enough army to, say, fight off a coalition of people coming at us. And with that said, I want to have enough just sort of spare money to hire mercenaries just in the event, because traditionally, I mean, that's what merchant republics did. So that is one thing there. And oh no, it looks like we'll have to tighten our belts and take a penalty to researching diplomatic tech for the next little while. It won't be such a big issue because chances are that I'll unlock a few of these trade ideas with our diplomatic power, so yeah, that's that. And in the meantime, let's buy another dock here. And of course, this will just gradually improve our nation's trade power, amongst other things, as these buildings are built, of course. And there we go, another election pops up. So again, we have the option of gaming the system, keeping our current leader in place, or alternatively, we could pick a person from this list once more. So I think we will, you know what, I don't want to keep everyone in power anymore because that Republican tradition thing is going, say, a little too low for my, it's just sort of tolerance. So I think we'll go for a diplomatic leader, despite the fact that unfortunately the one that we can choose here isn't, say, terribly great, but nonetheless we'll have a comparable diplomatic power number, and these other stats are, they're not bad, but I mean, they're not great. So overall, we'll just try to move forwards in that category. Right, so that'll be that. And let's see, I think we can actually buy one more army unit here. So I think I'll buy another squad of Latin Knights. And, well, going off of that, actually, you know what? Was it just cheaper to buy infantry right now? Or am I in some sort of, what can I? That's why they're fairly expensive either way for us. Right, but this is the main thing I want to do. I want to start to unlock some of these trade ideas, and I think for every 3 of these minor ideas here, you gain one of these bigger ones, or rather one of these unique ones for your country here. So starting off, I mean, we already gain a trade range / trade steering advantage automatically, but now we'll get 10 plus more global trade power because we've unlocked this shrewd commerce practice tech right here, and later on we'll gain a free merchant, and in addition, it looks like we will we'll also gain another plus 10% as soon as we get 3 more of those techs. So overall, that should increase our income by, say, a small amount, but overall, gradually that'll increase ever more. And let's see here, trade efficiency is good, so that'll be good. Where is our global trade power? Where is that? Oh, it looks like Pomerania here is actually embargoing us, so that is rather interesting. Right, so anyhow, these stats will just sort of factor in here. And let's see what is happening. Complaints about bailiff. Okay, we'll just execute him just because. Let's actually see where we have our merchants right now and where they are sort of pushing trade. So let's see, we actually have one merchant over here pushing right around 3.6 coins worth of trade in there. We control 4% of this market, and it looks like we are we even? No, we're not even in there. Where's our third merchant? There's one guy in Vine, which is sending a small amount up over to Lubeck as well. Well, in that case, what I think I'll do here is that I'll recall the merchant from Vine over here, and I think I'll get him to work the North Sea instead, because that looks like a better place to, say, steer trade power into our territory, because we have 7% there, and inside the Baltics we only have 4. So yeah, we'll get him over here. And despite the game changes, I'm under the impression that, I mean, still trade coming from the sea will be better than trade coming from the land, especially in a place where we don't own any of the provinces. So I'm going to put them over here, and I'm going to see how much we can sort of siphon off over here. And it's slightly better than what's coming from Bayern, so that'll be good. Right, so that'll do its thing. And our trade income here, let's see, it's holding right around 730, so that's good. Now, in the meantime, let's see what we can do here. So let's, let's see. I'm actually going to cancel this mission because, I mean, it's going to take us 10 years to finish it either way, and it's just not worth the wait. But in the meantime, I'm going to see whether or not, say, these coalitions cool down. And in the event that they do, I will, I might just say, fight another war with some of the people over here. You know what? I can form a... You know what? I think I'll actually form an alliance with Brandenburg, despite the fact that it'll cost us a bit. Mainly due to the fact that I think it'll be, well, no, actually we can just wait 2 to 3 years till this thing fires off, and that'll be that, really. Right, so I'll do that, and how you can annex these vessels is that you need to, get their relationship very, very high. So let's see, we need to, we effectively just really need to game the relationship of these two vassals before we can integrate them, so that'll take some time.